In this problem, it says in a bag of 395 chocolate candies, 42 of them are brown. The candy company claims that 13% of its plain chocolate candies are brown. For the following, assume that the claim of 13% is true and assume that a sample consists of 395 candies. So in part A, we want to use the range rule of thumb to identify the limits separating the numbers of brown chocolate candies that are significantly low and those that are significantly high. So when we're using the range rule of thumb, we're going to have to calculate the mean and the standard deviation. Okay, so the mean is the number of trials times the probability of success. And in this problem, that is 395 times the 13%. And we are going to be rounding to one decimal place, so that turns out to be 51.4. And then I need the standard deviation. And that is the square root of the number of trials times the probability of success times 1 minus the probability of success. So in this problem, that is 395 times the 13% times 1 minus 13%. And we put that in the calculator and round that to one decimal place, and that comes out to be 6.7. So now I'm ready to find the lower limit and upper limit for values that are not significant. So I'm going to make a number line, and on this number line, I'm going to locate the mean, which is the 51.4. And I locate the mean minus 2 standard deviations. And what we find is when we take 51.4 minus 2 times 6.7, minus 2 times the 6.7, that's where we get 38. And if I mark 2 standard deviations above the mean, that's mean plus 2 standard deviations, and that's going to be the 51.4 plus 2 times 6.7. So that turns out to be 64.7. So any values that are at 38 or below, 38 or fewer, are significantly low. Anything that is at or above 64.7 is significantly high. So we've got part A done. Well, the first two parts. And so it says, based on the results, is the result of 42 brown chocolate candies, is that significantly low? No, because 38 is our cutoff for significantly low. That's the highest value you could have that would be called significantly low. So since the 42, it's going to fall somewhere around here. So that is in the range of values that are not significant. So that's where we get our answer for that third part of part A. Now in part B, it says find the probability of exactly 42 brown chocolate candies. Okay, so to calculate the probability of exactly 42, we're going to use the binomial probability formula. And I'm actually going to use not the formula, but the function in the calculator. So because it's exactly 42 candies, we're going to use the binom PDF function. I'm going to shift this over so we have a little bit more space to write. And so this is going to be the number of trials. We have 395. Probability of success is 0.13. And we want to know the probability of exactly 42 successes. So this is what I'm going to enter into the calculator. And we press second and variables, and then we scroll down to get to binom PDF. And if you have the wizard, you're going to put in the 395 for trials, 0.13 for P, and 42 for the X value. And if you don't have the wizard, then you just separate those values with commas, as you see there. And so we get 0.0231. And that's our result for part B. Now in part C, it says to find the probability of 42 or fewer candies. So to do this, we're going to use the cumulative binomial function. So that's binom CDF. And our number of trials is 395. There's a 13% chance of getting a brown candy, and the maximum number we want is 42. So we're going to put this into the calculator, and I get 0.0901, rounded to 4 decimal places. So that's our result for part C. In the next part, they ask which probability is relevant for determining whether the result of 42 brown chocolate candies is significantly low. So in this case, what we would need to do is use the probability of 42 or fewer. So our range rule of thumb depends on having the probability of falling at or below that particular number to see if that's a significantly low value. So we would use the probability from part C. That's the one that is relevant. And the result of 42 brown candies, we're again going to say not significantly low, because the probability was 0.0901, and that is greater than 0.05. So that's our standard for saying whether it's significantly low, yes or no. Is it greater than 0.05, or is it less than or equal to? So it is not significantly low. And then we have one more part. Okay. So finally, it says, what do the results suggest about the 13% claim by the candy company? So the claim originally was that 13% of the plain chocolate candies are brown. So I'm going to say the claim is that the 13 chocolate candies are brown as opposed to not brown. And then what evidence do we have in favor of this? So when we make a claim that a value, a proportion in this particular case, is equal to some number, then we are going to make a statement about whether the results provide strong evidence against the claim or do not provide strong evidence against the claim. So we're going to use the word against. And this is something that's really going to come up more when we get to hypothesis testing in Chapter 8. But for the moment, just know to use the word against because they're saying that 13% are brown. And so do we have strong evidence against that particular claim? We do not. So the results do not provide strong evidence against the claim. And that's the end of that problem.